This is Top 30.
Millions of Americans on Social Security can expect to get slightly bigger checks next year. The Social Security Administration is expected to announce a boost of about 2% for monthly benefits. It's the largest monthly increase since 2012. The increase will affect more than 66 million Americans. It's not just seniors. That includes disabled veterans and federal retirees. The boost will give them another $25 a month on average. The cost of living adjustment is based on consumer prices and inflation figures measured by the Labor Department. Critics say that doesn't account for all the rising costs that seniors face. One senior advocate said it's causing them to dip into savings more quickly. The lifetime income that they were counting on just isn't there. Others worry about the future of the program. 78% of Americans worry that Social Security will run out of money within their lifetime. If federal lawmakers don't take action, Social Security is expected to run out of funds by 2034. That doesn't mean Social Security will end immediately, but it does mean that it won't be able to promise the same checks it does now. According to recent data, that means benefits will have to be cut by 23%. In order to build up their retirement savings and make up the difference, more Americans are expected to work longer.
A mystery Twitter account defending NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell belonged to his wife. The Wall Street Journal uncovered the story and found Jane Skinner Goodell used the handle For Argument 14 times to defend her husband on various issues. The name on the account was Joan Smith and started tweeting in August. It was deleted shortly after the WSJ published the story, but there are some screen grabs that show what she said. In this tweet, she calls out an ESPN article that reports on the divide caused by players kneeling during the anthem, saying, "Reads like a press release from Players Union. You can do better reporting." She's admitted to the fake account and released a statement saying, in part, "It was a really silly thing to do and done out of frustration and love. I have always passionately defended the hard-working guy I love, and I always will. I just may not use Twitter to do so in the future." So having defended her husband anonymously, she's now defending herself publicly.
An Ohio school district is warning parents about the possibility of a drone flying near the playground that tried to lure children away. The Akron Beacon Journal talked to a couple who says they saw a white drone flying over the playground and it had a voice coming from it that kept saying, "Hey." The drone eventually told the kids to follow it, and the witnesses said one child did, but his dad was able to stop him before he got too far. The principal sent home a letter warning parents about a drone with voice technology and saying, "I know that children playing at school would seem safe, but without adequate adult supervision, anything can happen." School leaders stressed the drone has not been spotted during school hours and urged parents to call police if they saw anything suspicious. A reminder to always talk to your kids about what to do if anyone or anything is trying to persuade them to go anywhere.
We are driving less but traveling more thanks to apps like Uber and Lyft. The users of ride-hailing apps are taking trips they would never have gone on before. This according to a new study by the University of California, Davis. As many as 61% of trips in the cities included in the survey would not have been made at all if not for ride-hailing apps. Some of those users said they might have walked, biked, or used public transport, but they didn't. The drivers in those cities were also asked why they use ride-hailing apps, and the number one reason for more than a third of them was to avoid the headache of parking. The author concluded the apps were likely to contribute to growth in vehicle miles traveled in the major cities represented. The findings raise questions about the future of city planning as well. The study found that Uber and Lyft users cut down their use of public transit because if miles in cars go up, so will traffic. If the trend continues, users might begin looking for another form of travel to get around the congestion. Maybe something involving rails.
These are your quick hits. A New Jersey man won $24 million with a lottery ticket he found in an old shirt pocket just 2 days before it expired. 68-year-old Jimmy Smith opted to take the payment over 26 years and says he's been buying lottery tickets since the 1960s. Richard Branson and the Virgin Group have introduced Hyperloop One, a revolutionary train they're developing designed to travel at airline speeds. And check out this coal miner from West Virginia, singing the national anthem to his co-workers before they head underground for the day.
For the land of the
way to start the day.
Advisors to the US Food and Drug Administration will review and possibly support the approval of a new sort of gene therapy that improves vision in people with hereditary blindness. The hearing, the first of its kind, allowed children to explain what it's like to lose their ability to see because of hereditary blindness and then regain it thanks to a gene therapy treatment called Lux-Turna. Business Insider reported 11-year-old gene therapy patient Cole Carper talks about what it's like to regain his sight. I looked up and said, "What are those light things?" And my mum said, "Those are stars." The FDA has until January the 18th to approve Lux-Turna. Currently, there is only one FDA-approved gene therapy available in the US. It is a cancer treatment that modifies blood cells in a lab. It was approved in August. Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, I'm hearing big things about Delta's boarding process.
That's right, Richard. Well, checking into flights is now a thing of the past. For Delta customers, at least, the company now sending boarding passes to passengers with its mobile app. And it's worth noting, this is the only U.S. airline offering this service. While it's still too early to tell what the long-lasting effects of the Napa Valley fires will be, wine experts are concerned that vines are being tainted by smoke that could make wine taste smoky or even like an ashtray. As for wine prices, this will really depend on the size of the winery. And is the future of home sharing here? Well, Airbnb has teamed up with a developer to create a branded apartment complex with more than 300 units in Kissimmee, Florida. As the cost of living increases, the concept could be a hit, with hosts looking for some help with rent.
Excellent, Nicole. Tell me, how is this going to work?
Well, Richard, the residents will have to sign annual leases and then will be able to share either individual rooms or their entire units up to 180 days per year.
A movie classic is returning to the big screen to celebrate its 30th anniversary. The Princess Bride was released in 1987 and featured numerous quotable lines that are still recognizable today.
As you wish.
Inconceivable.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
The movie grossed about $30 million when it was in theaters, but became widely popular thanks to home video. The love story between Princess Buttercup and Wesley will be back in about 700 theaters across the country for limited showings. This is so exciting, and if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and see it. Prepare to be romanced.
For years, colleges and professors have been criticized for supposedly turning their students against religion. Well, new research says that may not be the case. Studies compiled by the data site 538 say that many young people who turn their back on religion often do so before they even begin college. Last year, the UCLA freshman survey found that 31% of students beginning college had no religious affiliation. That number had tripled since 1986. Another recent survey by PRRI found that 79% of Americans who left the religion they practiced in childhood did so before they turned 18. Other studies have shown that college students tend to be less religious on average than Americans without higher education, but 538 says it is hard to pinpoint why. It would require a study to account for all the ways the lives of college graduates differ from those who never attended. But nearly a third of students have no religious affiliation. America is changing. It is time now for Royal Watch with the Sun. Let's check in with the legendary Arthur Edwards, the Sun's royal photographer for 40 years. He is on vacation and joins us from a flash villa in Portugal. Arthur, welcome back.
Thank you, Richard. It's great to be back.
Tell me a bit about Harry. So he's got an invitation from the Obamas and he's going to Chicago soon.
That's right. He's going end of the month. He's there for one day only. He's going to talk about gang culture in the city of Nottingham, the Royal Foundation, which is the charity that him, Kate and William have founded. Has done a lot of work in the deprived parts of Nottingham with gang culture and crime.
I am from a deprived part of Nottingham myself, Arthur, but the good news is I've played no part in gang culture, just so you know.
Well, we take your word for that, Richard.
The Queen is not taking part in a tradition that she has done almost every year for the past 65 years.
Remembrance Day is it's the second Sunday, Remembrance Sunday we call it. It's the second Sunday in November, and it's to honour the fallen in the wars. This year, the Duke, who decided to retire last August from all royal duties, has decided not to take part, but to watch it from a balcony. And the Queen, you know, didn't want to do it on her own. She said, oh, I'll go and stand on the balcony with my husband. And Prince Charles is now going to lay the wreath.
Arthur, thank you. Why don't you conclude this piece, because you're on holiday, by turning around and running straight into that swimming pool?
Yeah, I'll do that for you, Richard, but I've got my watch on.
Arthur Edwards, thank you.
In today's Hometown Stories, Liz Chamberlain was speaking to the local letter carriers branch about raising money for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. But instead of donating to the association, the members saw a more immediate need. Liz didn't have a wheelchair-accessible car. So letter carrier branch number 80 put on a trivia night fundraiser, collecting over $8,000 so Liz and her mom could buy a van. No longer dependent on anyone to get out of the car, Liz told Top 30, I definitely feel like I can go more places and not have to worry about it. And another town banded together, this time in Champlin, Minnesota. When students at Champlin Park High School heard their favorite substitute teacher, Mr. Walter Erickson, was struggling to pay for his wife's medical bills, they started a GoFundMe page. Beginning with a modest goal of $500, people have donated close to $14,000 in less than a week. As student Dylan Murphy told Fox 9 Minneapolis, you could just see how happy and how amazed he was at the amount of money we were able to raise. And our final story from Fox 46 Charlotte. This May, Mark Hoffman was training for the Ironman decathlon when he was hit by a truck, breaking 2 ribs and 2 vertebrae. It would seem Hoffman's dream of competing was over. But Hoffman was a man determined. Training with the brace, he was dead set to make this year's race. And it worked. Hoffman will be competing in the Ironman World Championship this Saturday, and we wish him the best of luck.
The US military is taking several steps to attract new recruits, including granting more waivers to candidates who've used marijuana. Drug use is prohibited in the military, but according to USA Today, the Army is becoming more accepting of previous marijuana use by potential soldiers because some states have legalized the drug. The man responsible for recruiting said smoking marijuana in an isolated incident is not a pattern of misconduct and doesn't signal someone having a problem with authority. The recruits do have to vow not to use marijuana again. The Army is also offering higher bonuses and accepting more people with lower test scores in an attempt to recruit 80,000 new soldiers. That number is up from previous years when the Obama administration started to downsize the military.
CoverGirl is ditching their old slogan to align themselves with a message that's about defining your own identity. Hashtag, I am what I make up. They sourced the hashtag from the Toni Morrison quote, "What's the world for you if you can't make it up the way you want it?" This new message comes with a rebranding in terms of talent they're working with, including actress Issa Rae, pop star Katy Perry, TV chef Aisha Curry, and the mother of Tesla's Elon Musk, May Musk. This new, more diversified list of women allows the makeup brand to focus on the stories behind the spokeswomen themselves and not about validation from the male gaze. According to Fast Company, Katie Alonso, director of CoverGirl's ad agency Droga 5, said, "What we wanted to do through the talent we chose to work with is honor who they are, their stories, and the context that beauty plays within their lives." Rebranding to empower women. I'd say that's a win. 2 unlikely friends bonded over cookies at Penn State University. Zach is a special education student who takes classes at Penn State through a program called LifeLink. One of those classes is a fitness walking course. Zach is a big Penn State football fan. His walking buddy Casey said every time he passes a player on campus, Zach stops to say hi. One player he befriended is defensive end Torrance Brown. When Torrance suffered a season-ending knee injury, Zach wanted to cheer him up, so he baked him cookies as a get-well gift. The next time Zach saw him, he gave him the cookies. Torrance, who now uses an electric scooter to get around, stood up and hugged him. Casey snapped a picture of the sweet moment, and it instantly went viral. Torrance said he loved the cookies. He tweeted, "My man Zach really made my day. Really enjoyed the cookies. Made me feel a lot better." You know, sometimes it's the little things that go a long way.
A giant hole the size of Maine has appeared on the surface of Antarctica, and scientists have no idea how it got there. This is the second year in a row the hole has turned up, and access to the site is so limited that scientists are having a hard time figuring it out. A professor from the University of Toronto, Mississauga, says this is hundreds of kilometers from the ice edge. If we didn't have a satellite, we wouldn't know it was there. This hole was actually first discovered in the 70s, but after disappearing for 40 years, some suspect climate change has played a role in its reappearance. Professor Kent Moore says the reappearance confirms their previous calculations, and it's important data they can use to validate climate models. Google has shut down a YouTube channel that was reportedly spreading Russian propaganda. The channel was run by two men going by the names of Williams and Calvin Johnson. They said they were from Atlanta and were part of the Black Lives Matter movement. During the 2016 presidential race, they used aggressive and profane language to criticize Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. They accused her of being racist and put forward various conspiracy theories. They also endorsed Donald Trump, saying that the businessman cannot be racist. The Daily Beast reports that the men are not from Atlanta, but Nigeria. Investigators say they are part of a propaganda campaign backed by the Kremlin. YouTube joins a growing list of tech platforms under scrutiny for spreading Russian disinformation during the election. The Washington Post reported Google found ads paid for by Russia on Gmail and YouTube. The tech company hasn't confirmed or denied these reports. Google has been invited to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee next month. But the decision by Google to shut down this channel means there will be no more conspiracy theories or racism online. That statement isn't true.
Sting and Trudy Styler just unloaded their 16th and 17th floor New York City penthouse for a cool $50 million, $6 million under their asking price. According to Page 6, the penthouse duplex is a whopping 5,500 square feet with a luxurious master suite taking up most of the lower level. There's also 2 additional bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, as well as 2 half bathrooms and a chef's kitchen. The residence comes with a 400-foot terrace overlooking Central Park that's equipped with outdoor heating and canopy shade, and the added addition of a sauna and steam room. But that's not all. The building itself provides residents with a wine cellar, library, screening room, gym, and club-style private restaurant dining rooms. The Police frontman and his producer wife originally purchased the plush pad in the Robert A.M. Stern designed 15 Central Park West in 2008 for just shy of $27 million.
The City of London is making it easier for Americans and other tourists to get around town, and that is upsetting some of the locals. Millions of people utilize London's excellent underground railway system each day, including tourists from all over the world, and that makes for crowded stations. So London's Transportation Department is trying to help. The department installed these green platforms at one of the country's busiest stations to help tourists know where to stand to quickly board the train. It is on a trial run and could reach more stations soon. Some locals are furious, claiming they've used their experience to find out the best places to get on a train, and now tourists are getting the best seats. Those locals think really helpful information should be kept secret. Those locals are wrong.
October is time for all things fall, including flu season, and a Colorado state official is urging everyone to get a flu shot pronto because she says this year's strain is especially nasty. Epidemiologist Dr. Rachel Herlihy says the number of hospitalizations in Colorado, 20 in the last 2 months, isn't a good sign for the season. The cases are from the H3N2 strain of the virus, the strain that typically results in severe illness for older adults. Her advice? Get your flu shot, and since it takes some time to kick in, get it now. And guess what? Just because you don't get sick doesn't mean you don't carry the virus. You can still spread it to someone and they could get sick, seriously sick. The elderly, children, pregnant women, and the chronically ill are most vulnerable. It's so easy to get a flu shot. Go to vaccinefinder.org, put in your zip code, and the nearest clinic will pop up. After all, better safe than sorry.
That is it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that are worth knowing about. America faces a hacking epidemic. We'll tell you what you can do. A letter written on the Titanic could break records at auction, and a double amputee veteran is running a month of marathons. These stories and more all coming up on the next Top 30.